happy to be here. We haven't given an update in 5 years. So the project is led by lead developer Nacho Ignacio, and we've been accepted as an official part of the Nextcloud project. And I'm assuming people know what Nextcloud is, but if you don't, it's a collaboration and file sync solution that's used all over the world by people. It's enterprise-grade software for contacts, calendars, files, all these useful tools. But it's a little bit difficult for the average user to install because it's totally modular. You might be using Apache, Nginx, you might be using different database backends, and people want to use these great tools as an alternative to not just Dropbox, but things like the Google Suite. So that's where our volunteer project comes in, because maybe you can't afford a enterprise contract, but you would like some community support. So we work primarily through help.nextcloud.com, and I dropped a link in the chat here. Otherwise, you can go to help.nextcloud.com and look up NextcloudPi or NCP. I also dropped a link to the forum in the chat. And so what you'll find when you join up with our project is, even though we had a humble beginning of working on the Raspberry Pi, we've now grown to support all system architectures. So that could be ARM, older 32-bit devices, newer 64-bit devices, AMD Intel architecture for 32-bit and 64-bit systems, as well as virtual machines, containers, you name it. Anyone who wants to help develop and submit new pieces of software, we welcome that for different architectures for systems. And so the links for this, if you go to, you can go to ownyourbits.com or nextcloudpi.com. And what you'll find is it just depends on what your system needs are. You'll find that you'll have your system images, you'll have your containers, or however you wish to install Nextcloud. And that could be a curl script or an image. And once you have Nextcloud running on your system, you're going to find that it can be difficult to manage, to maintain across version updates, for example. Say the new version comes out and you want an update, but you don't know if that update will break your system. Well, by being a part of our community, that gives you a chance to test a piece of software along with all of the other volunteers, make sure it runs properly, then push it out to the greater population of NextcloudPi. So when you're running our software with our volunteers, what you're going to find is you can just wait and be patient and allow bug testing and fixes to happen before those updates are actually pushed to your system. It just allows for non-technical users to use Nextcloud. And if you have questions, you're welcome to ask, reach out, send in information to the forum. Sorry, I'm having trouble with slides. But if you ever want to be involved in Nextcloud and you don't feel confident in setting up a reverse proxy or maintaining your own database, you're welcome to try NextcloudPi in an image or a container, and we'll work with you on it. So the main issue that we're dealing with right now as a community is in reaching out and finding more people who want to help develop and expand the NextcloudPi project. The project itself is very stable and it's well tested, but we're all unpaid volunteers and we just put in the time we can to improve the project. So we're looking for new blood and people who are excited about helping us expand the project, to do additional testing, to support additional systems, additional architectures, and to allow some of our tooling to help the Nextcloud project as a whole. Because one of the things that you find when you run Nextcloud through the NextcloudPi project is if, for example, Let's Encrypt for some reason breaks, you can actually use NextcloudPi itself through web tooling or through the command line interface to renew that certificate, or to resolve a DNS issue, or to roll back an update. These are things you can't do from Nextcloud itself, but through the NextcloudPi project, you'll be able to deal with issues as they come up and address them from a command line or a web interface. And I hope that the Nextcloud project will take some of these tooling ideas and put them back into the project, because not all of us are professional sysadmins. We don't necessarily understand how to do these kinds of backups unless we have a friendly web UI or command line interface to sort of guide us through this process in a more automated manner. Good. So what you'll find when you're using NextcloudPi is, go to docs.next.com. What you'll find as you're using the project is if you get stuck in Nextcloud, you'll be able to use the NextcloudPi tooling to restore things, backups, to renew encrypt certificates, and issues that normally you would have to manually type in commands. But with the NextcloudPi tooling, you'll be able to do things like restore encrypt certificate or to resolve DNS issues without having to resort to manually just typing in the command. This is something I hope that the Nextcloud project will learn from and be able to incorporate some of this tooling as well, because it greatly simplifies maintenance of the system when you're not forced to have to manually find commands, but use more scripts and interfaces to implement them. And it's not a one-size tool for everyone, excuse me, but it is a great tool for average users that just need help. And if you do find yourself stuck and confused when you're using this tool, which anyone can get from nextcloudpi.com, you can join us or through GitHub or through our Telegram and Matrix link channels, where we'll then guide you through your questions or your support needs. And the thing that we've learned over time that we really need help with is documentation and working with our users to develop better tooling and testing. Because this is a tool that allows you to keep your Nextcloud stable and make sure that you're not going to get borked just because a new update came out. And of course, you want to apply those updates, but they could break your system, especially when you're using something like a Raspberry Pi that's not very powerful. So by using this tooling, you can ensure that your system stays running properly while bugs get tested and any issues are ironed out that would otherwise completely break your system. And if you'd like to get involved with us, we could really use your help. You can get involved with us on GitHub directly, and that's where the project is maintained. And you can submit issues. Pull requests would be amazing. Other people with eyes on the code would be amazing as well. And that allows us to develop
James, sorry
better
again,
tooling
but
and keep the system stable. Yeah.
Because we have a very bad... could you please try to turn off your camera because the bandwidth maybe is very limited?
Oh, sure.
And we have some lag, that's why. Thank you.
Okay, sorry about that. So if anyone would like to be involved, you're welcome to go to the NextcloudPi GitHub, and you can join us through that. You can also find our project through the NextcloudPi website or through the Docker Hub for the NextcloudPi container, as well as you'll find our virtual machines, our LXD containers, our pre-made images. There's torrent. Anyone is welcome and encouraged to become a part of the NextcloudPi project. And they're not running our tooling to everyone, but you're also given a place where you can ask questions and get support, especially other people using commodity devices like Raspberry Pi, Odroids, or these other simple hardware where you're not quite sure of how to get the thing to work and be maintained properly. That's where we can help you the most. So I hope that's helpful. And I was wondering if anybody had any questions. I don't know what your process is for Q&A, but if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Are you still there?
I can see someone typing, so...
Sure.
Okay.
No,
we don't have questions.
Well, I think, okay, So just speaking candidly, in case anyone does have questions, but also just to give some more thoughts, I think one of the things that's really interesting about this project is that when you have a project like NextcloudPi, you're allowing regular people to use enterprise-grade software. And with Nextcloud, Nextcloud is not an easy tool. Yes, it's documented, but you still need to figure out how to put all the modular pieces together. And I think what Nacho has done that's so genius is that he made decisions about what a normal person would need to have a system up and running. So it's like, we're going to use MariaDB. We're going to use Apache. We're going to use these basic tools, document them well, ask for people to get involved with any questions, suggestions, submit pull requests to make this tooling better and better, and just looking for pain points and trying to ease those pain points. And it's an amazing thing, because if you look at the Nextcloud forum, our project has become the top tagged projects. We ask everyone who uses our tools to use the forum and to ask questions there so everyone benefits, not just our project, just the community at large benefits from kind of asking and answering these questions that come up again and again on how to do the most basic installation and maintenance, as well as adding new features that haven't existed before. And so I think there's something really beautiful about allowing the open source community to support each other, because otherwise you would just have to read the documentation and run commands and hope for the best. And that's fine, but I think that these kinds of projects help fill that gap for the average regular user who's not running an enterprise, but they just want to run Nextcloud with their grandmother and their father and maybe a couple friends. And so it's a great tool for that. And that's why I'm happy to volunteer with it and talk with you about it today. And I really appreciate being able to do that. And if anyone is interested in this kind of project, which helps a great many people, you don't necessarily get kudos for working on it, but you help a lot of people out and you help Nextcloud in general. I encourage you to reach out and become a part of the project, because it's all just a volunteer effort and we do the best we can. And Nacho could certainly use help in development and testing new functionality. So if people are interested in being involved, either on a community support basis or on a more actual development basis, we would warmly welcome and encourage you to be involved if you feel like you have time and interest and passion to be involved in a small but mighty open source community. And the thing with a project like this is, as time goes on, we get more and more additions to the project in the form of things like containers and virtual machines and new features and new functionalities. And that's why it's so important to have other people to test and implement these features. And they do become better over time. And really proud of the work that we've done. And it's just silently been going on now for over 5 years, 6 years. So it's been great. Because of the connectivity issues, if anyone else has anything they'd like to say, please do. But feel free to join us. If you want to join us, feel free to join us. If you want to test the software, you're welcome to do that. Couldn't be happier about the project. I think it's a great project, and it's a great way to volunteer your time and help out others. So.
Okay, thank you, James, for your awesome presentation. Okay, we have some issues with the connectivity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you as well. If you want to learn more, you can join us on nextcloudpi.com. You can also join us on help.nextcloud.com. We're active on the forums, and we're happy to follow up with you there. You're also welcome to just run the project. Spin up a Docker container, download a pre-built image, or if you're on Debian, just run the curl command on nextcloudpi.com and install it yourself on a machine and try it out. So thank you so much.